Alright, what's happening, y'all? Just a quick Redskins report from what's happened on Monday, February 24th. 3 things. 1. Why Chase Young will not participate in the scouting combine. 2. Experts weigh in on what potential trade packages it would take for the Redskins to trade out of that number 2 pick to potentially get Chase Young. And number 3. John Comm weighs in on whether or not Brandon Scherff will be franchise tagged. Something real quick. Let's get it. Alright, so Chase Young, arguably the best player in this entire draft, the 2020 NFL draft class, will not participate in the scouting combine. But that means he's only not doing on-field drills and stuff like that. He's doing the medical stuff, he's getting all of the measurements, and he's going to be there for all of the interviews and meetings and all of that. But he will not participate in any on-field drills like the 40 time, the 3-cone, the broad jump, all of that type of stuff. He's not doing any of those things. LSU quarterback Joe Burrow, who's more than likely going number 1 overall, only player getting selected before Chase Young in the draft, will more than likely not throw at the combine. And it makes sense. Elite prospects rarely do anything at Indianapolis. Him and Joe Burrow basically have nothing to gain and all to lose. If they were to sustain an injury at the combine, then their draft stock will probably decrease depending on the severity of the injury. So if they just wait this whole draft process out and don't get hurt in any random way like the scouting combine or their pro days, then they should go 1 and 2 respectively. Easy. I mean, honestly though, what can he gain at the combine? We already know he's an athletic freak from the film. He doesn't need to run a 40 time for us to see how fast he runs around offensive tackles. We don't need him to run a broad jump to see how explosive he is off the ball. We don't need him to run the 3-cone to see how agile he is for a person his size. I mean, he was a Heisman Trophy finalist. Not only was he the only defensive player that was a finalist for the Heisman out of 4 choices, but he was also just the only non-quarterback player. And it makes sense when you really think about it. Quarterbacks have the highest premium in football. They have the highest impact. A great one can make a team great. A bad one will have a team bad. Elite pass rushers are pretty much second to that. Quarterbacks, then pass rushers. Everything else comes after those 2 positions in order of importance and impact on the field. The quarterback and the guy that can get to the quarterback the best. The biggest offensive weapon in the game and the player that can suppress it, derail it, and affect it in any way consistently. Those are the tiers of football: quarterback, edge rusher, everybody else. Which is also a big reason why you don't trade down from the number 2 pick. But I'm going to talk about that a little later when we get to that section of the Redskins review. But even though he won't do anything on the field for the combine, it's reported that he will participate in Ohio State's Pro Day, which will be someday in March, like a few weeks from now possibly, at Woody Hayes Athletic Center, which is big for us because you already know last year we took Dwayne Haskins and Terry McLaurin. This year we'll more than likely take Chase Young, and I know a lot of us, including me and Dwayne Haskins, want KJ Hill, the wide receiver from Ohio State, who should be at their pro day also working out and showing what he can do. These Ohio State pro days are some of the most important parts of our offseason now as Redskins fans. But if watching his 2019 film isn't enough for you for some reason, you have some random workout videos that's out there on the internet that have come out recently, like him lifting weights with Arnold Schwarzenegger for some reason. Or him running these little drills on the field with the little flat cones.
Break. Break.
Nothing he can do from here on out can increase his draft stock. I mean, you're the number 2 pick. What you trying to do, go number 1? So just go ahead and chill out. Do what you got to do. Have them meetings. Have those meetings during the scouting combine and stay healthy. Us Redskins fans need you to stay in bubble wrap.
Oh, that the serious?
And now I want to talk about how experts have basically been giving their opinions on how much it would take for a team to trade up to number 2 and get that second pick from the Redskins. What type of trade packages they would have to present. I mean, because you already know, most NFL experts pretty much say that Chase Young to the Washington Redskins is a done deal at 2. I've already reported that Ron Rivera and Dan Snyder both love Chase Young and want him. So if that wasn't enough, then some of these trade packages that people are talking about should be enough to let you know that a team isn't crazy enough to go up and get that second pick. You have Danny Cannell saying that the Redskins should take Young and not look back. You have NFL Network's Daniel Jeremiah, who's one of the people that super works with the scouting combine in their community, all of the scouts and all that type of stuff. He's one of those guys that's like really in all of the stuff that matters. And he said that the Redskins should take Chase Young unless somebody blows their doors off with a trade offer. And then even when you look around, almost all mock drafts have Redskins taking Chase Young, even the ones that include trades. Because even as a mock drafter, as imaginary and unrealistic as we get, trying to actually think of a draft scenario where the Redskins will trade out of the second pick is just still hard to fathom and conceptualize. You also have Walter football analyst Charlie Campbell. He said they won't just give the pick away, and the team will require a massive package to move down. Ow, I bit my tongue. Cut. The team will require a massive package to move down that will probably need to include multiple first-round picks and more picks on the second day of the 2020 NFL Draft. Similar to what Washington dished out to move up to get the second overall pick for Robert Griffin III in the 2012 draft, or what Philadelphia gave up in 2016 to get the second overall pick to take Carson Wentz. Also, the Redskins do not believe that any team is willing to pay what it would take to move up to the second overall pick of the 2020 NFL Draft. So that's big news in itself, that the Redskins have already acknowledged the fact that we're asking for a lot. If you're going to make it so we can't get Chase Young, y'all going to have to give up the whole farm. And they're aware enough to know that teams more than likely won't be willing to do that. And they're not only content, but excited about the idea of getting Chase Young in this NFL draft coming in late April. And just to revisit the RG3 trade, just in case y'all don't know, the Redskins got the number 2 overall pick, and then the Rams, who didn't use their picks wisely. I mean, you got Greg Robinson just getting caught with almost a whole human worth of weed just a couple of days ago. I don't know what's going on, man. But the Rams got the number 6 overall pick, which is a first rounder, the 36th overall pick, which is a second rounder, and then a 2013 first round pick, and then a 2014 first round pick, which pretty much just all went to waste. So that just shows that even when you trade back, that doesn't necessarily mean you're just going to get a whole bunch of great players. They traded away that number 6 overall pick in the 2012 draft. With the number 36 overall pick, they took Janoris Jenkins. They traded away the 2013 first round pick. And then with the 2014 first round pick, they drafted Greg Robinson, who failed miserably in the league, and they just ended up trading him for a 2018 6th rounder later on down the line. So trading back doesn't always work out at all. Just because you have more picks doesn't mean you have more talent. I've been hearing that the Redskins may need to do a Ricky Williams type of trade where Washington had the 5th overall pick in 1999 and were in prime position to take the running back Ricky Williams. But instead, they traded that 5th overall pick to the Saints for their 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and then next year's 1st and 2nd round picks. And the Redskins made those picks work. Most notably LeVar Arrington, who they took with the next year's 1st round pick, 2nd overall. But even still, that I don't even really like that, man. I'm definitely in the boat where I prefer to take one Hall of Fame bound player rather than getting a handful of possibly Pro Bowl potential players to fill multiple holes that we have. I feel like we can take Chase Young. He'll be one of the best, if not the best pass rusher in the league. We'll have one of the best, if not the best, pass rushing front sevens in the league. And then we can fill the rest of the holes like free safety, corner, wide receiver, tight end in the draft or free agency. You've seen how Kyle Smith has made every draft pick matter, even the 3rd, 5th, 6th, and 7th rounders these past few years. We can fill holes that way, or with this $60 million we currently have in cap space, possibly even more if we release some more people, we can go fill holes in free agency. So I'm definitely on Team Chase Young. I've heard that maybe the Redskins could take the Dolphins' 5th 18th and 25th overall pick, all first rounders. And then first of all, I highly doubt the Dolphins just trade away 3 first-round picks to get a quarterback when they can just go ahead and use those 3 picks on very talented players and then just tank again and go get Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, or whoever else might emerge as a top quarterback in the next year's draft, 2021. And then also, even as a Redskins fan, I don't really want those 3 first-round picks. I would need more than that. I don't think y'all understand how dominant Chase Young is. If you don't know, please go check out Brett Coleman's video just a few days ago. He perfectly sums up why Chase Young is somebody you have to take if you have an opportunity to take him. You can't pass it up. And I forgot which draft analyst said it. I think somebody from NFL Network or something, but I completely agree that quarterback and elite pass rushers are like the only 2 positions in football where if there's an elite, generational, never before seen, never will see again type of talent, you don't trade away from taking that guy. It doesn't matter how many holes you have anywhere else on your roster. You do not trade away the chance to get a potential Hall of Fame player at one of the 2 premium positions I talked about earlier, which are quarterback and edge rusher. The guy that puts up the points and the guy that has the best chance of stopping that guy from putting up points the most consistently. I mean, Chase Young can literally win games for us, and we haven't had a guy other than a quarterback, maybe a running back, maybe a receiver, in a long time that can literally just take over a game, especially defensively. They can literally just put the team on his back and win us a game when we need it in the clutch. Chase Young will do that. He already has the hand technique, the footwork, the IQ to be a day 1 starter, immediate double-digit sack getter, rookie season. Immediately, especially with the Alabama boys, Matt Ioannidis, Montez Sweat, and hopefully Ryan Kerrigan on a restructured contract, all built into the rotation. To keep him clean, you won't be able to double team Chase Young because then you're going to leave those guys on one-on-one and all of that type of stuff. But then he also has the freakish athleticism, Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney-like, to where he can only get better and better over time. Nick Bosa and Joey Bosa are really dominant. They're great, but they are nowhere near as athletic as Chase Young. And Chase Young already pretty much has the same level of technique as them and IQ and all of that. So he'll come out day 1 for the Redskins almost as good as them, if not as good, or maybe even better, and he's only going to get better over time, while Nick Bosa and Joey Bosa have pretty much met their ceiling, which is really good. I mean, Pro Bowl, All-Pro player, but Chase Young should grow to be better than that over time anyway. And look at what happened with the 49ers. From 2nd overall pick to Super Bowl, literally just from taking Nick Bosa and getting their quarterback back healthy, which is pretty much what we're going to do. Dwayne Haskins not only got hurt, but he didn't have a full season to prepare last year at all. I mean, that man was practicing with the backups until we started throwing them into the wolves to actually play in NFL games. So basically the same way how the 49ers went from not having Jimmy G and not having Nick Bosa, and that's pretty much all they needed to go from 2nd overall pick to Super Bowl. I feel like the Redskins can have a very similar rise. I'm not promising a Super Bowl. I'm not even promising playoffs yet. But within 3 years, we'll definitely be a consistent playoff berth team, and we should be Super Bowl contenders, especially with all this money we have in free agency. And then the last thing I want to talk about is Brandon Scherff. Will we or will we not tag Brandon Scherff? Well, John Kahn weighed in on it, and even though I've seen somewhere that literally it's the exact opposite of what he said in one place as where he said somewhere else, I'm going to take the ESPN source, and he said that the Redskins may end up franchise tagging Brandon Scherff, but working with him to get a long-term deal done before we even get to the regular season. They may franchise tag him for now, see what's going on in free agency, see how much money we still have after we hopefully go get people like James Bradbury, Trey Boston, Robbie Anderson, all kinds of other people, combinations of people that we can go get in free agency. Also, with the holes we fill in the draft, hopefully like tight end with Adam Trautman and Thaddeus Moss, people like that. We'll see how much money we have after all of that, and then they'll be able to truly see what they can give Brandon Scherff as an extension. But for those of y'all who don't know, a franchise tag is when an NFL team wants to keep a player for one more season, but the player and the team aren't able to agree on a good long-term deal. And a franchise tag basically pays that player the average of the top 5 salaries of that position, or just 120% more than the player's salary from the previous season. So a franchise tag could potentially cost the Redskins $15 million just for 1 year of Brandon Scherff's services. But on the other hand, they could probably get him to sign a long-term deal that would be $13 million a year. So if the Redskins choose to franchise tag him, they'll have about like $45 million worth of money to spend in free agency to extend Trent Trent Williams, to re-sign Eric Flowers, and whoever else they may want to go and get in free agency. Also, if they restructure Ryan Kerrigan's contract, who's getting paid like $11.5 million just this year alone on his last year of his contract, they can save a lot of money that way. And if they release him with him having no guaranteed money, they can save $11.5 million worth of cap space immediately, which will take them up to $71.5 million worth of cap space, which would make the Brandon Scherff long-term deal look even easier to make. But I prefer to restructure Ryan Kerrigan's contract, take it down to where he's making like $5 million a year, and that will still save us $6 million this year. But back to Brandon Scherff, the Redskins will have from February 27 to March 12 to apply the franchise tag to any player on their team, and Brandon Scherff is the most likely candidate. Thank goodness we're done with the Kirk Cousins franchise tag days. Those were so toxic. I feel like if they end up franchise tagging Brandon Scherff, it will be in good faith not to just hold him for another year. It will actually be to just get him signed today to make sure he doesn't sign with another team during this free agency period, and then constantly work with him to get a long-term deal done. I'm pretty sure Brandon Scherff and the Redskins don't want Brandon Scherff playing any games this year on a franchise tag deal. It would just be simply used to hold off other teams from being able to get him. And keep in mind, Brandon Scherff has missed 13 games these past 2 seasons. So even though he is a premium talent at the position, he hasn't been very dependable, and hopefully Brandon Scherff knows that while negotiating his contract. He shouldn't be out here charging market-setting money. At least I hope not. But yeah, man, that's the end of this short Redskins report. Just wanted to talk about those 3 things real quick. Please get in them comments and let me know how y'all feel about Chase Young not working out at the scouting combine. Is it a good idea or a bad one? How do you feel about the chances of the Redskins trading back out of that number 2 pick? And also, how do you feel about the Redskins potentially franchise tagging Brandon Scherff, according to John Kahn of ESPN? Make sure you like the video if you liked it. If you learned anything, please subscribe if you haven't. And I appreciate the support. I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.